Well, good afternoon, YTPC. This is Dave coming to you from Southern Maryland, and we're in the paddock. It's about 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, and let's see, we are going with another pipe. This is the Salvinelli 673 KS, and what's in it is day 6 of the Codger Tour, where we went with some Velvet. So, I don't know, I'm enjoying my Codger blend, guys. Thank you, Greg. What I meant to say was I'm enjoying my Codger Tour. I like Velvet. I've liked them all so far. This is the 6th one, and then I've got about 3 more Captain Blacks to get through, and then I think I'll be done. So, see, today's day 6, 9. We'll probably have a 9 or 10 day tour of Codger blends, and I have to say I'm enjoying it. I had no idea I came into it completely blank of expectations, but I do like them. And as I've dug around my other pipes, it's amazing. It's amazing how much lighter these are than the Meerschaum. I had that big old Meerschaum bowl out on a longer stem, and this is what is it? The K673 KS is quite clenchable. I can even talk a little bit. I'm still not used to it, but I can talk while I'm clenched with this thing. So anyway, that's what the pipe is today, and that's what's in the pipe today. That was me kind of finishing up my first bowl. So here's the second bowl of Velvet. Great draw on these little pipes. So one other minor addition to the paddock is I got one of these leather trays. Anyway, they're originally designed to sit by your bed and put your watch and coins and pens and all the shit old guys used to put in there, but the pipe community has largely adopted these as tobacco trays, and that's what I'm using it for now. So it's just kind of fun. Nice little upgrade over the paper towels. I've been using folded paper towels, so taking a step up. So some of you are asking, so you've seen my 3 lunts now. You've seen me lunt out here at the paddock. You've seen me lunt at home on the 6 acres, and you saw me lunt yesterday on the 60-acre horse farm, Summerfield Farm. Some of you are asking what we do at the farm, if we breed or board or whatever. So we are a boarding facility. Most of they're not really my clients, to be honest with you. They really are my wife. She runs the horse farm. I only go over there when she calls me over, or if I want to do a lunt or show you guys the farm. So the horse barn, which we really didn't walk through this time because there were people there, and my farrier was there doing shoes. Farrier is what you call the guy who does horseshoes, by the way. So he molds the feet, he molds the hooves, and then he forms the shoes to fit each shoe. Each shoe is usually a little bit custom done. And then sometimes he hot shoes, where he gets the shoe red hot and actually it burns into the hoof, which the horse can't feel, by the way. But we have a 20 stall barn, so we could have up to 20 horses, and we have about that. 3 of them are ours. Cooper's my daughter's, but my wife rides him while she's away at school, and so my wife rides every day now. And then the 2 littles, Stormy and Rumble, they share a stall. And then in addition to those 3, we have about 14 or 15 client horses. My role on the farm is usually legal, government compliance, all the finances, invoicing, billing, collecting. But we board. That's pretty much what we do. If people want to bring in a trainer, they can. We don't offer a trainer at the farm anymore. We used to. This doesn't work out. So people pay us a monthly fee. It's $850 a month per horse, per head. We have several that have multiple horses with us. We have one with 3. She used to have 4, if you can believe it. Anyway, we're considered one of the nicer facilities in the area. We built it that way on purpose. We run it that way on purpose. My wife and I spent 10 years seeing how it's done wrong. There's plenty of ways to do a horse farm wrong. And so we focused on the cleanliness of it, the design of it, and the animal care. But that's what we do. We board. So what does that mean? That means they get turned out every morning. They get brought back in every night. They get blanketed if they need it. We provide services like clipping and shaving and minor wound care and hoof packing if they need it. They get fed. Most get fed a little bit of grain. They get hay in their stalls, and then you saw the hay barns. The hay huts, the green things out in the middle of the fields. So those are kept full. They get watered. They get checked on. I mean, they get cared for. They even get pampered a little bit by our guys. So we're pretty good at it. I mean, we've been open 10 years now, so it's not our first rodeo. See, little horse joke there for you. Yeah, so people come to us. They take care of the horses. We have a waiting list. I mean, we never have a stall empty. Financially, the farm basically runs itself now. It's relatively self-sufficient. I haven't had to inject cash now in about 2 years. The good thing about us is we don't need any money from the farm, so no funds ever leave the farm to care for our family. So all the money we take in from the clients goes directly to pay, goes directly to feed, goes to our hay deliveries. We get hay delivered by the tractor trailer load. Use about 450 bales at a time. We get about 4 or 5 of those a year. That's really it. So it's a relatively quiet place. We get a lot of comments about, hey, my horse has never been calmer than when they've been here. Hey, my horse has never looked like this before. When a horse is healthy, it dapples. Its coat starts to get some spots across the rump. It's called dappling. And it has to be pretty calm and pretty happy and pretty nutrient dense and cared for that to happen. So we've had several people say, hey, I've never seen dapples on my horse before. So that's sort of the horse farm. We don't breed. There's very little money in that. Trying to think. We don't show much anymore. We'll go to a horse show occasionally. We used to show nationally. We used to show up and down the East Coast. We don't do that. With Laura now in college, we don't do that much anymore. And so if people want a horse show, that's great. They take their trainer and off they go. We have people that disappear for 2 or 3 months in Florida, and then they ride the local show rings. But with Lauren gone at college, we don't really do that. We certainly don't take. We have a huge 5-horse, 6-horse trailer, but we don't really use it much anymore. So we're just a quiet boarding facility at this point. So that's kind of what you saw. You've been on my farm twice now if you watch both of the vids. And I'll take you back out there. If you guys have questions, I'll take you back out there. Or I'll wait until probably May or June when the place looks good. It's all greened up, dried up, all the mud is gone. So that's really it. I'll answer any of the questions you have about the horse farm. There's nothing secret about it. So you've seen my cigars now. Part of the reason I wanted to show them to you was I wanted you to see how nice a collection, how wide and varied the collection be with very little space. I have 6 Tupperdoors and this one humidifier, and you don't even need the humidifier. You could have another Tupperdoor. You don't have to store boxes and boxes. You don't have to age your cigars. I mean, you can. I mean, I know there's people like, Market Wells Piper is getting more serious. Uncle Willie's very serious with his big humidor. You don't have to do that if you don't want. You're going to see both approaches from me. You're going to see, I'm not going to change my Maryland approach much. So I basically keep a box of each of my brands, and that's really it. Some of them are wicked expensive, like those Cohiba Blacks and the Churchill Late Nights. I'd rather not buy a box of 25, so I'll buy sleeves. But you saw I had 10 or 12 or 13, really nice, a mix, and very little space, very little maintenance. Once you get them in the Tupperdoors with some Bovita packs, you just don't touch them. If you want, you can put those little Bluetooth monitors, and it monitors your humidity and your temperature for you, and it goes right onto your phone. And really nothing to it. So sometimes I think we make it harder than it needs to be, or people who are really into it can make it seem harder than it is. Pretty simple, 10, 12 orders over the course of a year, whether you order sleeves or boxes. Those Tupperdoors are probably $5, $7 at Walmart. Just make sure it has a sealing lid, that's all. And that's really it. So it's kind of fun to show you. Now in Wyoming, I'm going to take the other approach. I bought this. Truly, it's meant to be in a professional cigar lounge. So, I'll watch. You'll see the progress of us putting boxes. We'll put in, we'll order 2 and 3 boxes at a time of my favorites. And we'll have one that's open, one that's aging, and one's for long-term storage, something like that. But even with that, it'll take 40, 50 orders of 3 boxes each. I'm not going to run out and spend, my God, 150 boxes of cigars. And some of the really great ones are hard to find. They're available only on certain days, only available from premium distributors who have premium accounts. So and that's my Wyoming guys fall into that category in a lot of cases. So they can provide me with boxes of things that you couldn't get normally. So anyway, the Wyoming one will take some time, but I'll update it as I do it while I'm out there. Guys, I'm going to divide this video into 2 parts. One is a kind of nice updatey part. That part's over now. In the next part, depending on your interest level, you may want to be done. You may want to go ahead and stop and click off. The next part's going to be a conversation about kind of where we are, where the world's headed right now, what we see happening in the world. Maybe a lot of you don't realize how organized what's happening is. Maybe you don't realize how far it's gone. Maybe you're being a little naive about what's happening around us. So I got an email this morning. I'm not going to say who because he didn't write back, say I could. So I got an email from a guy, and it had a lot of facts in it, and he wanted to know my opinion. And my opinion is, I think things are much more integrated and much more driven and much more puppeteered than you might think they are. So anyway, the rest of this video is going to go down this road. So if you kind of aren't into that, see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk again on Friday. Tomorrow is Freedom Friday. We will be participating. And just end here and be happy. If you want to fall down the rabbit hole, and it's a little ugly and stinky down here, take the blue pill, right? Blue pill, red pill. I think the blue pillers can stop here, and the red pill, I'm warning you now, though, it's not pleasant. So that's it. So for some of you, goodbye. For the rest of you, we'll continue into the rabbit hole in a minute. All right. If you're still here, you were warned. So the email I received basically listed a bunch of statistics on I'll just run through them because I redid them. Things like, what's the percentage of blacks in the United States population? It's currently around 14%, by the way. How many people are involved in a mixed race marriage? It's currently about 13%. And how many people self-identify as LGBTQ plus? It's currently running around 7%. And that's if you believe the Pew Research, if you believe Gallup, if you believe these survey firms, but they all come up with relatively similar numbers. The question was, with such small numbers, why is it appear so much, so much greater, like on TV and in movies and in advertising and all that? And so one, I think is important we read current numbers, because the numbers from 2010 and 2015, they usually come out a lot around the U.S. Census year. So 2010 was the census year, so 2011 through 2015, there's a lot of statistics, but it's changed a lot from back then now to 2020 in the last couple of years, 2021, 22. People put out a lot of research on it, and I don't care if you believe it or not. I don't know if it's true or not. I just know when I go and read what are fairly reputable organizations, I mean, they're good at doing surveys. Now, whether they put their thumb on the scale, I don't know. So I walked around Washington, D.C. in a suit and tie for 25 years. And D.C. is a huge survey city. All these survey companies want to survey the population of Washington, D.C. And what I saw, even from really reputable firms, is they're very selective about who they approach with their clipboard. I mean, we would see, I think I got approached once in 25 years, and I think the guy even realized it was a mistake and kind of aborted the interview very quickly, so he wouldn't have to include me in his survey results. So they profile, if they want a very liberal agenda, they know who to look for, right? If they want a conservative profile, they know who to survey. I just never saw too many conservative profile or too many conservative poll takers out on the street, at least in Washington, D.C. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting set of questions. I think some of the data that was sent in the email is way off. But I thought it presented an overall really interesting conversation, and that was, why would data swung one way? Does it look so different as presented to us through the media, the marketing, however you want to say that? And I thought that was an interesting conversation that we could have here today. I guess I also want to start out by saying that I don't think it's a U.S. issue. I believe it's largely a Western world problem. I don't think there's a country in Europe that's not going through this right now. I would put Australia in here. I would put New Zealand in here. And probably all three countries in North America too. So I don't consider this an American problem. And when I speak to the following examples, I'm really talking to the Western world, not just the U.S. So the question that was thrown to me is, what is my thoughts on all this? What is my opinion of these things? And so I'm going to tell you, I think it's much larger and much more integrated than you could possibly imagine. And so just in sitting down and thinking about the video, I wrote down 11 categories of things that all fit under the umbrella of better control of the world population. I don't mean population count. I mean just better control over, as if there was an absolute dictator and everyone would comply with whatever that dictator said. That kind of control across at least the Western world population. I can't speak to the developing world, the third world, the African nations, the Middle East, the Southeast. I just don't have any experience out there, so I can't tell you if this is occurring worldwide, but I do have enough experience to tell you it's happening Western worldwide. So I'm going to read you the 11 categories. I'm not going to talk about them all a lot because otherwise I'll turn this into a damn hour-long video. You can poke back at me. You can ask me questions. You can ask if we can take a video into some more detail on some of these. But let me just read them off to you. These are the 11 I wrote down. I made them up. They're not coming off any list. Number 1 is men versus women. Number 2 is white versus all other races. Number 3 is control of the food supply. Number 4 is control of the money supply. Number 5 is fear-based living. Number 6 is medical-based dependency. Number 7 is removal of Christianity. Number 8 is access to weapons. Number 9 is entitlement, or the you deserve training that our kids are receiving. Number 10 is redefining what crime is. And number 11 is the rich versus the poor. So those are the 11 that I kind of say these are all planks in a larger platform to kind of bring down the world as we know it and get it into a much more manageable, controllable state. And one of the overarching tools that they, and I don't really know who they is. I mean, I can certainly, give you some ideas of what I think who they is, but they is not the government officials. They are selective of the government officials, in my opinion. It's the true wealth, the true engine of wealth in this country is probably controlled by 100 people. And that true wealth can be wielded in many ways. So one of the tool sets these folks use is to consider even a conversation like this to be, wrong, or domestic terrorism, or intolerant. Just having the conversation, just laying facts out on the table and having a conversation about any type of concern we might have with what's going on is now truly labeled as insurrection, or something that should be dealt with, something that must be stopped, and something that maybe even should be prosecuted at some point. So I'm going to read through these real quick and give you a couple sentences, and then we'll have to, maybe we'll never talk about this again, or maybe we'll talk about it, each one of these will need its own video. I don't know. You help me decide what kind of tolerance do you have for this. I can hear the YTPC or, the purists, just their heads exploding as I even talk about this stuff. I don't particularly care. I just don't want to offend too many of the people that I'm close with. And there's several hundred of you out there now, and I'd like to produce material that you enjoy listening to, watching, that challenges you. I don't mean to jump into too many big piles of dog shit on my channel. All right, number 1, women versus men. There's definitely a move afoot in this planet to make no differences between men and women, males and females. They want that completely removed, and the intent there is to get all the males into that beta male category, that toxic masculinity, the Me Too movement. It's all meant, and if you watch the role men play on TV or movies lately, I mean, they're just stupid, farcical jokes. It's all meant to tear the male population down, to get away from the warrior class, to get away from the defense class, the people who can defend our way of life, and that is just being done by trying to emasculate men and make them more and more like women, and maybe try to make women a little more masculine. So eventually they're even trying to make it a way for a man to carry a baby. I mean, it's just total insanity in my mind. But that doesn't change the fact that that is a major tenet of this integrated movement, and it's one of the 11 things that they want to accomplish. One. All right, there's lots and lots of things out there. All right, so the second was white versus all the other races. It's tried and true, right? I mean, it's so easy to generate anger over race. Gosh, the white privilege and all the jokes about the white privilege card. I mean, and we take the bait. we get all angry about it, and we post, oh, let me tell you about my white privilege and all that, but it's tried and true, right? And the only attempt here is to keep us divided and angry and talking about anything other than what's happening in the big picture. And so that is something that you're just going to see. That drum is going to get beat because that drum works. All right. It works on all the other races and gets them so angry because it's so easy. And then we're no better. We respond with just as much anger every time we hear it. So that's a tried and true divisionary tactic that I don't think will probably ever go away. And you just have to decide if you're going to play that game or not. I just will not play that game, but I acknowledge it exists. And my worry is that by me acknowledging that game exists, makes people angry at me for just saying it out loud. So another huge one is control of the food supply, right? They're trying to outlaw family gardens, right? There's already studies out now that are saying that family gardens are 30 times more climate unfriendly than the big corporate farms and the 18-wheel trucks and all that. I'm sure they're going to use some sort of scale. The larger the scale, the less polluting somebody is. So, but you've seen it. You've seen it. I mean, how many news stories you've seen in the last 5 years about how cattle need to be restricted? Ireland's, I think they're going to kill 500,000 animals this year because they pollute. We're putting more and more restrictions on farmers. We're putting more and more restrictions on ranchers. And you see this move towards bug food is what I'll call it. But they're just trying to get control of it. They want you to go to more and more refined foods. They want you to go to more and more sugary foods. And that feeds the next one, by the way. The next one I want to say is they want you medically based. They want medical-based dependency across the board. The average 60-year-old in the United States takes 6 daily medicines today. Okay, and that's not enough. They'd like you to be on a bunch more. We no longer talk about cures, right? We talk about treat. And so the food industry is being controlled more and more by the pharma industry because they want you on daily meds, right? Everything you see on TV ads is about a daily pill, a weekly shot. They want you on. It's not. You don't hear anything that solves a problem or cures you. So, and the other thing I just found out was if you think about why do they buy so much airtime, right? Because you can't prescribe it, you can't go buy it, you have to go talk to your doctor, all right? Well, one of the more nefarious parts about it is pharma buys up all the ad space because it makes them the number one funding and revenue source towards those channels, those shows, and they get a lot of influence on the content of those shows through the threat of pulling, hey, I'm 80% of your revenue. If you don't want to go down my road, I'll pull it and go somewhere else. So there's a couple more planks. Control of the food supply gets you medically based, medically dependent. All right, I think I'm at number 5 right now. Number 5 is control of the money supply. And one of the biggest ways they do that is debt slavery. They want you in debt. Buy that new car, buy that new house, buy that second house, go on vacation whenever you want. You deserve it, right? Go out to eat whenever you want. Put it on the credit card. If that credit card gets full, get a second one. They want you in debt because you can't do shit if you're living check to check and you're not even making it from check to check, right? If you're making interest-only payments, if you're making a minimum payments, if you're just up to your neck in debt, you're a very compliant person. You don't have time, the heart space, the head space, the emotional space to do anything. You're a very meek, controllable person when you're so far in debt you can't breathe. And they want you there, and they work very hard for the programs you see. Adjustable rate mortgages that tease you in, teaser rate mortgages that tease you in. So teaser rates on credit cards. So that's another one. Just control of the money flow by putting you and keeping you in debt for the rest of your life. Number 6 is fear-based living. They want you to live in fear. I mean, that's why the news does what it does, right? There's a couple of stupid feel-goods, right? But the rest of it is fear-based, right? And, when Ukraine wasn't enough, then there's Taiwan. Well, that wasn't enough, so they added the Middle East. That's not enough, so they're adding Syria. And there are others coming. And they just want you to live in fear because, again, it's sort of like your debt slave. Now you're a fear slave. You're so scared. You just want to stay at home. You don't want to make any waves. You're just kind of waiting, right? I don't want to start my new job till I see what happens in Ukraine. I don't want to start my new company until I see if this China thing blows up, right? All that fear does is keep you, weighed down. Removal of Christianity is what I have listed as number 7. We teach every other religion in school, but we never talk about Christianity in school. And I believe for decades we've been abusing the concept of separation in church and state. The original intent was the state should not dictate your religion. The state should not say you cannot live in the United States if you're not Christian. Right? They didn't want that. That's where the Puritans came across from. I think it's being abused now. We're trying to say it should be a freedom from religion, that you should be guaranteed an existence where you don't have to touch it or hear it or see it, and that religion should have no impact on our government. It's totally reverse. It's 180 degrees from what it was intended to be. So the removal of 10 commandments and religious artifacts from our courthouses and all that is part of that. The removal of daily prayer from school, the removal of daily prayers or prayer openings to our legislative sessions. It's meant to remove our connection with Christianity, and they're using, well, it offends people. Don't listen, don't take part, But our judicial system is based on the belief that human beings have the fear of the Almighty and that they will behave themselves curtailed by some laws, and we're losing that most basic fundamental. We're losing any fear of a higher power or even the recognition of a higher authority. And so the judicial system, the rule of law, is in fact breaking down, and you're seeing that, and I believe it's on purpose. The removal of our access to weaponry, I think, is systematic and it'll just keep coming. I don't think that will ever be a right that is left alone. It will always be under attack, whether it be through fees or taxation or training laws or recertification laws or the reinstitution of, when you apply for concealed carry, you're either in a shall state or a will state. Well, the Supreme Court outlawed will states, but I think they'll come back where you have to justify why you want it. I think we're in a temporary point where that law right now, but that is something that will be assaulted continuously from all sides at all times. I think it's on purpose. I think it's intentional, and even if they it could take 50 years, but they'll keep on it because an armed populace is a very dangerous populace. That's why the Second Amendment exists. We are a very dangerous public, and God forbid we ever stand up together and do something, and they want that removed from us. We've all seen it, the entitled youngster, right? I believe parents are teaching it now. Schools teaching it. The government's teaching it. You deserve it. You deserve better. Not because you work for it. You just deserve it. There's a sign in front of my kids' grade school. Now, they don't go there anymore. My kids are 21 and 22. But the grade school has a big sign, and all it says is, you are important. That's all it says. There's no other message. Just, you are important. And then we teach them, you deserve better than your parents are giving you. You deserve more than what the government's giving you. We're even teaching our illegal immigrants, you deserve more than what we're giving you. I mean, we're teaching as a society, and it's causing societal breakdown. Don't work for it. Don't strive for it. Just demand it. And I think you're seeing that more and more in today's world. You really don't hear this talked about, but we are redefining crime. We are actually having politicians saying, well, we could drop the crime rate by redefining crime. It's no longer a crime to steal under $1,000 a day in certain places. It's no longer a crime. We've redefined it. It's no longer aggravated assault. It's no longer theft. It's no longer robbery. It's nothing. It's no longer a crime. We've redefined it. And smoking marijuana is no longer a crime. We've redefined it. We've legalized it. We've decriminalized it, whatever word you want to use. Which I think you're seeing that more and more and more. We're seeing people let go on no bail after murdering somebody. I mean, these stories are all over the place. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of examples. It's not the couple that you realize are out there. And I just think our judicial system is redefining what crime is, to the point where there probably won't be a whole lot of crime pretty soon. And the 11th one, the last one I'll bring up today, is the rich versus poor. Again, tried and true, man. It's been out there for hundreds, probably thousands of years, but if the rich would just pay their fair share, we wouldn't have budget issues. We wouldn't have, city insolvency or county insolvency or state insolvency. We should just tax the rich more and more and more, which is hilarious because the rich are the ones controlling the system. So if you think you're going down that road, you're out of your mind. And it's been proven multiple times in the United States that there aren't enough rich to tax that kind of money from them anyway. Well, guys, each one of those topics could be its own 20, 30, 60-minute video. So I'm going to stop babbling about it. I just wanted, a couple people have asked about things like this in the past, and this email just crystallized it for me. So I thought I'd just bring it up, talk about it, give you a more comprehensive discussion. We can certainly talk more about it if you want. You can ask me questions. You can poke holes in it. We can do other things if you want, or not. I don't like living in this space a whole lot. I don't do a lot of these subjects anymore. I don't swim around in this lake of knowledge too much anymore. It's too easy. I mean, it doesn't change that much from year to year. The last 5-10 years, it hasn't changed all that much. The disease that showed up in 2019 was, I think, a sort of a test to see how compliant would be. I think we end up being far more compliant than they thought we would be, and that is being held in the wings should they need to do something like that again. And the thing my wife and I talk about is how much of this really affects your life. How much really affects your life? Are you making better spending decisions because of this? Are you making worse spending decisions? Is it changing anything about you or how you define yourself? Is it changing how you're raising your children? Does it change how you spend your time? It's changed some things for me. I don't watch TV anymore. I think commercial and cable TV is just a waste of my time. I can feel myself getting stupid or sitting there in front of the television. The other thing is most of the shows, I think, is basically an open sewer pouring shit into my eyes and my ears and my home. So I don't open that up much. I'm very selective about what I watch. It doesn't change how I define myself. It doesn't change the way my wife and I talk about it, our relationship. It doesn't change how I support my kids. It doesn't change my car collection or my paddock, right? So we came to realize that the world is probably in trouble out there in the big picture, but in our little world, it's not changing us that much. So it's easy to talk about it. It can be fun or entertaining to go down these roads. I think once you realize how integrated it is how many vectors they're coming at our world with. I mean, I just read off 11. There's probably 10 more, but there's not much I can do about it. And sweating about it, thinking about it, studying it, talking about it doesn't make it any better either. So anyway, guys, it's a terrible subject, but I just want to hit it head on, and maybe some of you are like, wow, it's way worse than I thought, or I suspected some of these things. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to shut up, put this video up. Yesterday's video, the lunch at the horse farm, took like 12 hours to load. I don't know why. Maybe it was those, we had a couple of X-ray or X-class solar flares, and I know that brought down the cell network for some people, so maybe there's some of that. But I don't think I said anything too offensive. This one may not get uploaded. We will see. All right, guys. Talk to you tomorrow for Freedom Friday.